What's going on, guys? My name is Cody and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to like and share this video. In today's video, I want to share with you how I was able to start 3 businesses while I was working full-time as a nurse. Yes, you heard that right. 3 businesses, starting from photography, an Airbnb business, and a real estate business. I was a nurse for 7 years and I want to give you guys the behind the scenes on how I was able to start these 3 businesses and how I was able to transition into quitting nursing completely to working on these businesses full-time. So if you guys are juggling multiple passions, considering starting your own venture or side business, I highly recommend that you watch this full video. I think it's going to be extremely helpful and maybe you guys can learn from some of my mistakes and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. So for me, I worked as a nurse for 7 years. The job was incredibly rewarding, but also extremely demanding. The long hours and high levels of stress made me realize that I needed to find a way out and get into something that was a little bit more creative and something that I could build on my own. So starting a business was naturally one of the first things that I wanted to do. And that's when I decided it was time to venture off into photography. And then after that, I ended up starting an Airbnb business. And then I ended up getting my real estate license. So the photography business kind of started off as something that I was doing for fun. I ended up grabbing a camera and a drone and was just shooting kind of day-to-day life things anytime I would travel or anything like that. And then I realized that I could actually make a business out of this. So what I started doing was first reaching out to realtors and any boat brokers that were selling boats, and I started shooting content for them for free. Now I was doing this in my spare time. On my days off, I would reach out to these clients, and just to build up my portfolio, I would offer free content, and that's how I was able to figure out what I was doing because I had absolutely no clue about photography. I watched some YouTube videos, but I still wasn't the best at it. It took a lot of experience, a lot of years, and a lot of learning and making mistakes along the way in order to get good at it. My first investment was actually a DJI drone, which I enjoyed flying. It wasn't even anything other than a hobby and a passion. So I started doing that, shooting videos when I was out on the boat or shooting videos while I was driving my truck around or any scenery. And from there, I ended up getting a decent camera, practicing with that. I would get on YouTube, learn about it. I would mess around with the camera settings. I just tried to build up my experience with it so I could at some point hopefully turn this into a business. Now, some of my very first clients with the photography business, I was actually just shooting DMs out to realtors on Instagram, offering to shoot their real estate photos for free. And that transitioned into shooting videos and photos for businesses. Then I was able to start charging money. I was able to get some experience, build up my portfolio. And I ended up getting a lot better and turning that into a full-on business. Along the way, networking with other realtors and people on social media, I was able to grow out my audience and grow out my clientele. And then I started bringing in money from that. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just kind of a great side gig in which I was enjoying doing and I was also getting paid for. So then came my Airbnb business. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. And that kind of goes along the way with every single business that I started. When I first started out, I had no clue what I was doing, but I just jumped straight into it and just figured it out along the way. And with Airbnb, I actually had a house that I purchased and I ended up living in it for a little bit until my girlfriend and I ended up moving into an apartment. At that point, I realized I could either rent this house out annually or I could short-term rent it and see if I can make a little bit more money. Now, during this period when I first started out on Airbnb, everyone talked about how great it was, how much more money you make, and I honestly had no clue what I was getting into. Again, I was working full-time as a nurse, so I was working 3 days a week. Along with that, I was working my photography business on my days off whenever I was getting bookings. So I said, heck, I might as well give this a shot. So of course, I already had the photography down. I went to my house, I took all the professional photos, uploaded it on Airbnb. Next thing you know, I start getting bookings and I'm like, hey, you know what, this is actually going to work out for me. And I was making really good money month to month. I was getting plenty of bookings. It was constantly booked. And I ended up buying another property and just doing the same thing. So really it turned into a full business out of nowhere where now I have cleaners, contractors. Now when I first started out, that was not the case at all with Airbnb. I would actually go to these houses on my own. I would clean them. Anytime I'd have a turnover, it would take me anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So that meant if somebody checked out while I was working, I'd have to block out that night. I would come there after work, get it cleaned up, and get it ready for the next guest. And this was extremely exhausting and stressful. Then I ended up realizing, hey, why don't I just hire a cleaner? From there on out, I was able to scale the business. Now I'm at the point where I have 5 Airbnbs. Everything's automated. I have cleaners, contractors, pretty much everyone I need in place in order to have that business running, whether I'm there or not. All I really need is my cell phone in order to keep that business running smoothly. Now, of course, I am still hands-on. I like to go to the property every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes every month, but I just like to lay eyes on the place, make sure everything's well taken care of, the cleaners are doing their job, and so far things have been working great. So the third thing I started while working full-time was getting my real estate license. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was extremely difficult because I did this over 2 weeks, which I do not recommend. If you're getting a real estate license, take your time, take it at a slower pace. It's a lot of information to jam in, especially if you're working full-time. Over 2 weeks, it was literally 14 days. I would go to work, my days off, I would be in that class, and it was just an information overload. But with that being said, I ended up getting my real estate license. From there, I learned a lot about real estate that I had no no clue about, which I figured would be helpful for my Airbnb business as well. And also working as a real estate agent, I knew that I'd be able to meet other clients for my photography business. So now it's been about 5 years. I've helped out plenty of clients with both buying and selling their houses. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, now how the heck did Cody do this? How was he able to manage working as a full-time nurse, running a real estate business, running an Airbnb business, and running a photography and videography business? I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot to balance. There were definitely periods of times where I would go sometimes weeks, months, almost working every single day because I had something to do on my days off, whether that was go shoot a client's listing, something to do with an Airbnb would come up, or I had clients to go show houses to. It was definitely a lot to manage. So for me, time management was crucial. I definitely had to log everything in my calendars. I had to make sure I knew when guests were checking in and out. I had to know whenever I had clients for real estate, whenever I had clients for the photography business. It was definitely a lot going on. I actually enjoyed the process tremendously. I love being able to stay busy on my days off and making money doing something that I truly loved. It was well worth it in the long run. I also made sure to set boundaries along the way. That way I didn't burn myself out or get sick and tired of one thing or the other. It was a constant rotation of the businesses, which kind of kept me intrigued and interested in everything going on. The only thing that I got burnt out from was the nursing career, which I knew had to come to an end. And finally got to the point where I was able to make enough money from these other sources of income to cover all my bills. I saved up enough money for 3 to 6 months worth of savings. I ended up quitting the nursing job, and now here I am today running these businesses, making sure everything runs smoothly and staying on top of things, and I couldn't be happier by any means. So if one of you guys watching this are planning on starting your own side hustle, here's what I recommend in order to get started. You definitely want to come up with a game plan. You want to start small, come up with something that you truly enjoy that's really just a hobby. Whether you make money or not, you're still going to enjoy the process and enjoy doing it. And once you get good enough at it, then you can start charging clients for whatever that hobby may be. The next thing you're definitely going to do is make sure that you plan everything out and stay organized. Now, for me, I would not recommend starting 3 businesses because a lot of times, honestly, things just get too jumbled. One thing would take my focus away from the other, where if I just put all my focus into one of those side hustles starting out and kept it going that way, I think it would have been a lot more successful and been able to grow that business a lot faster and make it more profitable. So find one thing that you truly enjoy and stick to it. I see a lot of entrepreneurs come up with all these plans. They end up executing one thing, but then they get bored and then they go start another thing. They wonder what it's going to be like to start another business, and then it just keeps turning into a domino effect of always wanting to try something new. But I promise it's better off that you just focus on one thing, go all in on that, and stay focused. And if your goal is to quit your job, make sure you become the best at whatever that hobby or side hustle is, and make sure you start making enough money in order to cover your expenses before you go and quit that job. Another important thing that you want to do is leverage your network. Now, if you are somebody who is introverted, I'm not going to say you can't start a business, but it's going to be extremely difficult. Without me going out, meeting new people, making these different connections, I wouldn't be able to start any of these businesses. Pretty much every business revolves around who you know, who knows you. You need to make it very well known that you have this business or side hustle. Make sure that you're posting on social media, talk to your friends about it, any coworkers. Make sure everyone knows about it, because if not, they'll totally forget about you and then they won't use you, which means you won't get paid. So stay relevant, stay on the top of everyone's mind. Don't be scared to post 1, 2, 3 times a day, even more. You know, the more the better. If people are sick and tired of seeing your things, well, guess what? They can unfollow you, and chances are they're not going to be a client anyways. So make sure that you're around the right people. I also advise on finding a mentor or somebody who knows more than you that can help you out, guide you through the process. You can learn from their mistakes. It can help you out tremendously. I had plenty of mentors. I had plenty of people who were much better than me, who made a lot more money than me. It actually motivated me, and it pushed me to get a lot further in life and a lot further with my businesses. And another thing you want to keep in mind is to make sure that you prioritize your self-care. You need to make sure that you stay healthy, that you're eating healthy, you're getting adequate sleep. You definitely don't want to get burnt out. You want to set realistic goals. Remember, if you don't take care of yourself, there's no way that you're going to be able to start a side business and work a full-time job and be successful at it. I hope this video helps you guys out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. If you guys have any questions or you want to tell me about your journey, shoot me a comment down below. I'll be responding to everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video.